What's up, good people? Thank you for joining. Thank you for liking this video. If you're a new member, welcome to the family. Thank you for subscribing. My name is Percival Pagati, and in this video you're going to be learning a couple of things, 4 things to be precise. You're going to learn about quadratic functions, you're going to learn about cubic functions, you're going to learn about first derivatives, and you're going to learn about distance formula. You're going to discuss all of those topics in details in this video, and you're going to be using this example, question 9 of November 2022, grade 12 past paper. Right, so let's get into it. First thing first, you need to understand the question. The question says, given f of x is equal to x squared. So you are given a quadratic function, and then they say then determine the minimum distance between the point, and they give you the point and a point on f. So they want you to find a minimum distance between this point and to f, right? So let me give you a picture. Okay, so just to understand what they're saying. So you are given a quadratic equation, f of x is equal to x squared, and the picture of this quadratic equation will look like this. So a perfect picture of this quadratic equation will look like this. This is a quadratic equation. It touches the original point, and you are also being told that there is a point, this point here, where the x value is 10 and the y value is 2. So there's a point here where the x value is 10 and the y value is 2. And they want us to find a minimum distance between this point and f, and this is f. They want us to find, let me write it black color. So they want us to find a point between here and f. So this distance can be the minimum distance can be this, or the minimum distance can be this, and the minimum distance can be this, or the minimum distance can be that. We don't know what is the minimum distance yet, so we need to figure out the minimum distance. So when they talk about minimum, just side notes on this. So when they say minimum or when they say maximum, just know that they are talking about the first derivative, and they want you to calculate the first derivative and equate the first derivative to 0. So all the time when they say find the minimum of a function or find the maximum of this function, they're just asking you to find the first derivative, equate that first derivative, and solve for an independent variable. So I'm going to repeat that so that you can remember all the time. When they say maximize this or minimize this function, they just meaning find the first derivative of that function, equate to 0, and solve for an independent variable. So that's what we're going to be doing here. We're going to be finding the first derivative of a distance formula. So we need to then find the distance equation first, or distance function first, right? So what you are being told, we have a point, let's call this point B if we may. So we have a point A, or call it A if you want to. We have a point A, 10 and 2, and we want to find the minimum distance, right? And we know that the y value of f is equal to x squared. So meaning any point in f is actually x and x squared. So any point in f is x and x squared. So let's just take any point in f. Let's say we take this point here and call it B, x and x squared. So we have point A and we have point B. So then we can able to find the distance between A and B, right? And the formula of that is the distance between A and B will be, just the formula will be x value of, it depends if you start with A or start with B, it's up to you. So you can just start with B, x value of B minus x value of A squared, plus the y value of B minus the y value of A squared. So this is the distance formula, right? So from the distance formula, we then do substitution. So you have distance formula, so distance between A and B. So the x value of A is, the x value of B is x. So you write it down, and the x value of a is 10, we write it down, squared. The y value of b is x squared, so we write it down, and the y value of a is 2, so we write it down and put the square root over there. And then from here we need to simplify and remove the bracket. So that what you would do from here, then you have to use this knowledge. So we know that if you have a minus b squared, this can be written as a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So you square the first term times the two terms and toss their product and square the last term. This is how this could be written. So you're going to be doing the same thing here. So you have, if you have to remove the bracket of x minus 10, will be square the first term will be x squared, times the two term will be 10x, twice the product will be negative 20x, and square the last term will be 100. And then you do the same thing here. Square the first term will be x power 4, times the two terms will be 2x squared, and twice the product will be 4x squared, and square the last term will be 4. Right, and then from here we need to group the like terms. So we have x power 4, and also it's nice to have the order, the highest order to the lowest, right? So we have x power 4 plus x squared minus 4x squared, those are the like terms. And you have negative 20x and plus 100 plus 4, those are also other like terms. And then you can actually add and minus the like terms. So you have x power 4, x squared minus 4x is minus 3x squared. And you have negative 20x, 100 plus 4 is just 104, square root of that. So this is the simplest form that you can get, right? So we have the distance of that, and remember we said then we want to find the minimum distance between point A and point B. To do that, you need to find the first derivative of the distance. So you find the first derivative of x power 4 minus 3x squared minus 2x plus 104 and equate that derivative to 0. Every time when say find the minimum of something or maximum of something, you need to find the first derivative and equate to 0. So find the first derivative of this. So we know that if you have f of x is equal to ax power b, the derivative of f, the first derivative of this would be a times bx power b minus 1. So this is how you find the first derivative of ax power b. So let's do that. So you have, in this case, the first derivative of all of this linear function will be 4x power 3 minus 3 times 2x power 1 minus 20. And another thing that you need to know, that derivative of a constant is equal to 0. The derivative of the constant is equal to 0. So even here, derivative of the constant is 1 over 4 is 0. Okay, cool. So this is going to be equal to 0. Black color, this is equal to 0. Okay, so from here, then we need to then start jumping into cubic functions, because now it's a cubic function, and probably we can simplify it further and say this is minus 6x minus 20 is equal to 0. And from here, we need to now jump into cubic function. Okay, so with cubic function, what you need to know, let me just bring this cubic function to the other side. So, okay, so you have this. Now, using a cubic function, you need to bring in your calculator. Okay, we have our calculator ready. And then you need to sort of divide this equation. You do what you call trial and error method. Trial and error method, what you would do, you need to find, take any value, like you can take plus or minus 1 or plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3. Normally, it doesn't go beyond above plus or minus 3, right? And then you substitute these values. When you substitute these values until you find a value where if you substitute it, you get 0. So that's going to be your first root. Okay, so what you would do, again, you have this equation 4, and then you have x, and you can start with minus 1 if you want to, power 3 and then you have minus 6. You can start with minus 1, so it's just doing a try and error method. If you put minus 1 in this equation, you get negative 18. So that's not 0. One a value, if you put it, you must get 0. So let's just change it and put it a plus 1. We get negative 22, so it's not 0. So plus or minus 1 is not going to be a root. Now let's try 2 instead of 1. Oh yes, 2 is a root. So what you then from here, because you already have a root, the first root, so you have x instead of x, since it's 2, so it's gonna have x minus 2. So if it was minus 2, it's gonna be x plus 2. So you say x minus 2 and open the bracket, and then you say 4x squared divided by x. You'll be left with 4x squared. Sorry, it's 4x cubed divided by x. You'll be left with 4x squared, and then you write kx. We'll talk about k later on, just now. And then you say negative 20 divided by negative 2, so it will be 10. So you see that we have skipped negative 6x, so you're going to write that down. You're going to write negative 6x on your side, and that negative 6x is going to help us to calculate kx. So how do we calculate kx? What you would do then, you times these numbers, all of these numbers, and see the and only take the numbers that has only x in them, because we are looking at 6x. So take any number that will have x. So if you say x times this is when x squared, 4x squared, so we don't take it. X times kx is going to be kx squared, so we don't take it. So x times 10, it's going to be 10x. So we take that one. So say 10x, we're using a different color. So it'll be 10x. And then negative 2 times this, we don't take it because it's going to be negative 8x squared. Negative 2 times kx, we take it because it's going to be negative 2kx. It's all x's. So we're taking the value that has x. So negative 2 times 10, we don't take it because it's just negative 20. Great. So we have this all x's, so we can divide by x on both throughout. So it's going to be negative 6, 10 minus 2k. And then if you want to, we can actually take the negative 2k and put it on the right hand side, and take that 6 to the take negative 2 to the right hand side, change signs, become 2k. Take that negative 6 to the right hand side, change sign, become positive 6. And then this is 2k is equal to 16. And then from here you can just divide by 2 on both sides when you're solving for k, and then you can have 8. So your k is equal to 8. So this is equal to 0. So you have x minus 2 and 4x squared plus 8x plus 10 is equal to 0. So now again, if you have a times b is equal to 0, right? If you have two values and you multiply those two values and they give you 0, this means that one of these two values must be equal to 0, because anything multiplied by 0 is equal to 0. So this means that a can be 0 or b can be 0. Depend which one is, we don't know. Either a is 0. If a is 0, this is true. If b is 0, this is true. Right? So this is what you're going to be doing even here. So this can be x minus 2. X minus 2 can be 0, or this equation, this is for x, by the way, not k. 8x plus 10 is equal to 0. One of the two equations can be 0, right? And this one is equal to 2, but this one is not equal to 0. Why is this not equal to 0? So you can do your calculation whatever the way you know it. I've teach on how to do this, but the first thing that you need to do, if you are given a quadratic equation like this, what you need to do is, let's say you are given a quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. You need to find or identify if your equation, you can find the root of the equation. To do that, if you can find the root of the equation, you need to get this delta. You can say b squared minus 4ac. Use this test to find if your quadratic equation has a root or not, right? If this delta is positive or 0, then there is a root. There exists a root, right? If this delta is negative, no root. Okay, if this delta is positive or 0, there is a root. There exists a root. If this delta is less than 0, there is no root, right? If there's no root, therefore we cannot really solve for this. So that's what we're trying. I'm going to show you how then I came about to say there's no root here. So you can then say, okay, cool. In our case, our data is different color, please. Our data is our b is 8 squared, and a is 4, c is 10, right? So if you punch this in your calculator, so you have 8 squared minus 4 times 4 times 10, you get negative 96, and this is less than 0. Therefore, we have no root. So the only root that we have is x is equal to 2. That's the only x value that we have, right? Makes sense, because this is what we are looking for. We're looking for the x value, we're looking for the x value of b, right? We're looking for the x value of b. So we already have, now we have the x value of b. The x value of b is 2. So since we have the x value of b, which is 2, now we can now just go back into our distance formula, and our distance formula is this. You can take it and just substitute that x the way it is. So we have distance of AB will be let me paste it. Came with the equation sign. Funny. So the distance between A and B is this, and we already know that x is 2, so you have 2 power 4 minus 3 power squared 20, and so is x is just putting 2, and then you can now just punch this in your calculator to get the minimum distance. 2 power 4 minus 3 times 2 power 2 minus 20 times 2 plus 104. Right, so we're getting 2 square root of 17, which is approximately 8.25 units. And remember, when you're calculating a distance, you need to always say unit at the end. So yeah, so this is how you'll actually do this question or answer this question. And so marks on this question will be, let me just give you marks on this question. So you need to get a mark for first mark. You need to get a mark for identifying this x and x squared. That's 1 mark. And get a mark for substitution on your distance formula. Get a mark for simplifying it, and get a mark for getting to this answer. And then get a mark for what? Let's see. Get a mark for getting this right, and get a mark for equate it to 0. Yeah, maybe get a mark also for doing this as well. Give you a mark for that, just to identify, saying that you take a first derivative, you get to 0, and get a mark for getting the final answer or deriving it. And then get a mark for x is equal to 2, and then get a mark for your final answer. So this is how you get your 8 marks. This was 8 marks, right? Let's go back. 8 marks. Yes, this is how you get your 8 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Boom. So this is how you get your 8 marks. If you have any questions on this question, please let me know. We've learned a lot. There's a lot of things that you've learned. There's a lot of things that are going on here. Please let me know. I'm happy to answer your questions, and I'm happy to have this discussion going and engaging. And I'm doing this videos for you. So I need to get a feedback from you, and so that I can improve and so that I can see you learn and grow and getting those distinctions. And the aim here is to help you get those distinctions. And we can only do that if you tell me how you want me to help you. So let's engage, let's discuss, let's ask questions, and I will see you in the next video. Boom.